In episode 15, titled Write Clear Control Implementations, we focus on crafting crisp, testable control narratives that sound like your operation on an ordinary weekday. The goal is simple. A reader should understand what the control does, how it works in your environment, and where to open proof without scheduling a meeting. When a control write-up is plain, specific, and repeatable, assessors move faster, authorizing officials feel confident, and your own teams know exactly what to sustain after go-live. We are aiming for clarity that survives sampling, not prose that flatters a template. That means naming people rather than departments, pointing to artifacts rather than intentions, and speaking in present tense about actions that actually occur. A reliable structure keeps every control tight and comparable. Who, what, how, frequency, and evidence. Who names the accountable role that owns the outcome? What states the control's purpose in one line a non-specialist can grasp? How explains the mechanism, configuration, process, or both at the enforcement point? Frequency pins cadence to a number, not a vibe. Evidence points to the object a tester will open to see the control operating. This structure is not ceremony. It is how you make each paragraph do the same kind of work so assessors do not relearn your style with every control. When every write-up answers the same 5 questions, reviewers read once and then skim effectively. Ownership must be personal and accountable, so name specific teams and roles, not faceless units. Security is an abstraction. Security Operations Team, led by the Incident Response Manager, accountable for alert triage and escalation, is a commitment. Tie the owner to the system of record where their work appears, ticket queues, configuration repositories, log platforms, so the line from responsibility to evidence is direct. If a task spans boundaries, keep one accountable owner and name contributors explicitly. Shared responsibility without a single accountable party invites drift, and drift becomes findings. When a person changes, update the document with the new role holder and the date. A current name signals a living control system, not a historical snapshot. Parameters are where policy becomes visible, so write them into the narrative rather than hiding them in a spreadsheet. State thresholds, timeframes, and tool configurations with numbers and names. Sessions lock after 15 minutes of inactivity. Password length is a minimum of 14 characters with 1 rotation every 90 days. Critical patches apply within 7 calendar days. And log retention is 12 months online with 12 additional months in archive are examples that let a tester design a sample on the spot. Name configuration flags and rule sets the way the console names them, not the way you wish they were named. When parameters live in the paragraph, your control statement stops being a promise and becomes a specification. An easy pattern for sentences keeps the prose compact and the meaning sharp. A useful example that you can adapt broadly is, Security Team reviews alerts daily using monitoring platform. Expand it with the structure and parameters you have already defined. The Security Operations Team reviews high-severity alerts every day between 8 a.m. and 1800 Central, using the Enterprise Monitoring Platform, acknowledges within 15 minutes, and escalates to the on-call incident commander for any alert mapped to the critical rule set. This is not marketing copy. It is an operational fact written in the same cadence you would use during a handoff. Short sentences, familiar verbs, and concrete nouns reduce misinterpretation and speed up testing. Many controls mix your work with protections you inherit, so specify provider portions and your responsibilities plainly. If storage encryption at rest is enforced by the platform, say which service, region, and encryption setting you enable, and then describe your key use restrictions and rotation schedule. If multi-factor authentication relies on a managed identity provider, name the tenant, the policy applied, and the exception process you operate. Inheritance without configuration is assertion. Inheritance with configuration is proof. Your narrative should make the seam obvious. Provider enforces X, we enable Y, and we prove Z by opening this artifact. That seam is where reviewers look first, and your clarity there is the difference between trust and a follow-up list. Vagueness is a risk on its own, and it sneaks in through words like as needed, periodically, or industry standard. A line such as, we log events as needed, is worse than silence because it suggests intent without commit. Replace it with a measurable statement. Application, platform, and network components emit logs to the central collector. Parsing and normalization run continuously. Correlation rules execute every 5 minutes. Alert thresholds for authentication failures trigger after 5 consecutive attempts within 10 minutes. If a number feels too strong to commit, that is a design question, not a writing problem. Either tune the system to a number you can keep or omit the claim until you can demonstrate it. You can add a simple boost to almost any control by writing the cadence numbers, retention periods, and escalation timelines directly next to the action. Scan monthly becomes scan on the second Tuesday of each month with completion by 23:59 that day. Retain logs becomes retain normalized logs for 12 months in hot storage and archive compressed originals for an additional 12 months in provider cold storage. Escalate promptly becomes escalate within 15 minutes of a confirmed high-severity alert to the on-call incident commander via paging system with 2 retries at 5-minute intervals. These specifics are not ornamental. They are the handles by which a third-party assessment organization, 3PAO after first use, grabs your control and checks it without guessing. Evidence pointers should be as concrete as street addresses. Name the ticket project and the query that shows closure, the dashboard and the saved view that shows alert acknowledgements, the storage bucket and key prefix that holds archived logs, the configuration export file and its commit hash in the repository. If a tester can paste your pointer into a search box or click a saved link and land exactly where proof lives, you have eliminated half the friction of assessment. Date the sample windows you expect reviewers to use and ensure your data retention aligns. Evidence that exists but cannot be found does not exist in practice. Your pointers turn existence into usability. A useful scenario keeps you honest. Imagine an assessor repeating your steps and reaching identical results. They open your monitoring platform, apply the named saved view, see yesterday's alerts, and match your acknowledgement timestamps. They query the ticket system with the filter you provided and see closure within the stated service level window. They download the configuration export at the commit hash you wrote, open the parameter, and verify the value you claimed. They pull a log from the archive bucket and confirm the retention period. If any of those steps require improvisation, your narrative is missing a pointer, or your environment lacks a stable artifact. Rewrite the line or tighten the process so repetition is guaranteed. Tense and stance matter more than style guides suggest. Use present tense to describe controls that operate today, and avoid future promises or aspirational language. "We will implement quarterly access reviews" is a pledge. Access Governance conducts quarterly reviews during the first week of each quarter and records approvals in the Account Reviews project is a control. If a capability is planned, put it in the plan of action and milestones and keep it out of the implementation paragraph. Reviewers respect a clean separation between what exists and what is scheduled. Present tense also helps operators hear the line as a runbook, which improves adherence long after the assessment ends. Readability is not decoration. It is a security control because it reduces misexecution. Prefer short sentences, active verbs, and minimal acronyms. When acronyms are necessary, spell them out on first mention with spaced letters, Security Operations Center, SOC, then use the shortened form sparingly. Avoid nested clauses and stacked adjectives that turn a clear action into a riddle. If a sentence exceeds 2 commas, consider splitting it. The test is simple. Read the paragraph aloud once. If you stumble, a maintainer will too. Smooth prose becomes smoother operations because people do what they understand the first time. A quick checkpoint helps you validate each paragraph before you move on. Structure, parameters, ownership, evidence, and clarity. Structure asks whether who, what, how, frequency, and evidence are all present. Parameters asks whether numbers and configuration names appear. Ownership asks whether a named role is accountable. Evidence asks whether a specific, dated pointer exists. Clarity asks whether a colleague outside your team could execute the step on first read. If any box is empty, finish it now. A minute spent here prevents a week lost to clarifications during assessment. We close by summarizing the approach. Write every control as an operational fact anchored to artifacts. Lead with the who and the what, make the how concrete, give the cadence a number, and send the reader to evidence they can open without you. Declare inheritance where it exists, and draw the seam so cleanly that a skeptical reader relaxes. Keep present tense, active verbs, and short sentences. Above all, treat the paragraph as a durable instruction that your future team can keep without phoning the original author. Your next action is straightforward. Pick one weak control you already own, rewrite it using who, what, how frequency evidence, add the missing parameters and pointers, and save the revision with today's date. One tightened paragraph often becomes the model that upgrades the rest. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.